Hello, Bobby Torres of Frightbox Recording here, and welcome to the remote recording process, part 1. So just recently, I've collaborated with drummer extraordinaire, Mr. Cameron Fleury. Now, if you're not familiar with Cameron, not only is he an excellent all-around drummer, but he has an awesome YouTube channel where he teaches drummers how to improve their craft. So if you're a drummer and you're looking to up your game, up your chops, and just become a better drummer overall, I'll leave a link below to Cameron's channel so you can check it out. So now Cameron and I have decided to work together and write a song together. And here's the thing, we are in 2 different countries and we've never played together, but that did not hold us back. We were able to clearly flesh out ideas, record guitars, bass, and drums, even though we've never even met in real life. And this 3-part series will show you exactly how we went about and achieved our goal. Now in part 1 of this 3-part series, I'll be showing you how I went about crafting the basic foundation and the riffs of this song using my trusty old EZdrummer plugin, as well as my basic process for songwriting and pre-production. So if we look here, this is the actual pre-production session of the song that I prepped for Cameron. If you look, just a handful of tracks. I have my EZdrummer track, which has my EZdrummer plugin loaded up on it. I have a scratch bass track, scratch guitar track, which is mainly my riffs and rhythm guitars, a scratch solo, and a couple of clean guitars and an overdub. Very simple, everything nice labeled, all the parts labeled, and super clear. So right off the bat, let's take a listen to what this pre-production is sounding like, and then we'll dive deep and I'll share with you my process. Let's check it out. So as you can hear, this is a simple, straight to the point instrumental metal track, but everything that we'll be covering in this 3-part series can be applied to a more complex, thorough, longer metal track or hard rock track, or if your song has vocals, doesn't have vocals, it doesn't matter. The process that we're using, you could use when collaborating with other musicians remotely. So now, like I said, I have my pre-production track here, and that's the most important element. My tempo mapping was done, everything's at 180 BPM. And what I want now is for Cameron to be able to work with the tracks that I've recorded so he can write his drum parts to the song. In my mind, these EZdrummer tracks are just placeholder tracks. They're just here to give Cameron an idea of what the riffs can sound like with beats similar to the ones that I've programmed, but I'm not looking for him to play exactly what I've programmed. I want him to add his own personality and flavor to the song. So now we have one issue here. I'm a Pro Tools guy and Cameron is a Reaper guy. And when you collaborate with other musicians, you're gonna run into this all of the time. Some people use Studio One, some people use Logic, some people use Cubase, some people use Pro Tools and Reaper. You need to be flexible and understand basic file management so the remote recording process can run smoothly. So what I've decided to do here is keep things nice and simple, and I've exported just the EZdrummer track as a stereo stem and all of the instrumentation as a stereo stem as well, and I've packed it into a Reaper session for Cameron. And let's take a look at what that Reaper session looks like. So now here I am in Reaper. Let's take a quick listen. And here are my 2 stems. I have a scratch drum stem, which is just my bounced EZdrummer tracks. and a bounce down of only, again, the guitars and bass and overdubs, so Cameron can play along to only the guitars when he's writing his drum parts in his home studio. And I've even gone in and imported a basic MIDI file with all of the markers for Cameron to know where the intro is, the verses, choruses, so on and so forth, as you can see right here in my marker section in Reaper. Now, if you're collaborating with someone that's using a DAW that maybe you don't own, very simple. Utilize the exact same approach that I did here, where you're bouncing down basic stems and maybe a MIDI file containing your tempo map, if there is a tempo map. And that's all they're gonna need in order to collaborate with you when they write their parts to the song that you guys are working on. The takeaway here is to be organized and simple and clear. And that's all I had to send Cameron for him to write his killer drum parts to, which you'll be hearing later in this video series. So now I want to show you exactly how I use EZdrummer to help write songs in the first place. Okay, so here we are back in Pro Tools, which is my main DAW, and I have just two different riffs that I quickly threw down and recorded that have no drums going on. They're just two riffs that are recorded to a click track at what tempo here? At 160 BPM. Let's take a quick listen to what we have. Okay, not earth-shattering, but I have a feeling that when I apply some, basic drum tracks via EZdrummer to these riffs, I think it'll really kind of come to life and start turning into an actual song. Now, one trick I like to use when I'm in the flow state and I'm writing, even if I'm writing with a band and we're working in pre-production, is I'll drag in random drum MIDI from some other song I worked on, just so I could have it in the session to kind of springboard ideas off of. Now, as you probably know, if you work with MIDI and virtual instruments, the awesome thing about MIDI is when you change the tempo in your DAW, anything that was recorded at the previous tempo will automatically be shifted, because we have to remember MIDI is just information, it's not actual audio. So I actually have the drums right here from the track that Cameron and I collaborated on, which is a completely different song, different arrangement, different everything, but I'm gonna use these just as an example to show you how I could pull from drum tracks and kind of morph them into something completely different when writing a completely different song. Okay, so what I'm feeling for this first kind of sludgy riff is like a halftime kind of beat. So I'm just gonna randomly go back to the drum tracks from the first song, and again, they're gonna sound different because now they're not at 180 or 190, they're at 160, and I'm just gonna copy that first one over the first riff, and let's see how it's sounding. I dig it. So I'm just gonna take that and copy it over the second repetition of the riff, but now we have a completely different part that's sort of like a clean guitar kind of part or a semi-distorted part, and I want a different drum beat. I want something that maybe utilizes the toms and just feels a little more in the background and not as driving. So I'm gonna quickly show you another way that I use EZdrummer that for me is integral to the pre-production stage when I'm working on any pre-pro, whether it's my music or with another artist. Now, EZdrummer has this thing called tap to find, which I love. So in other words, if I have a beat in my head, I can go into this section of EZdrummer, quickly tap out the beat in my head, and it will call up beats similar to that beat that I specified in my MIDI library. That's all part of the EZdrummer plugin. So let me show you exactly how I do that here in real time. Now, the beat in my head is sort of like a doof, do-ga, do-doof, do-ga kind of beat with toms thrown in. Let's see if we could pull something similar to what I have in my head without me having to program anything, especially when I'm here in the flow state stage writing and I don't want to get too technical with drum programming. So I'm going to go into tap to find, and again, remember I said boof, boo-ga, kick, kick snare. Okay, now I'm gonna click Show Results. And now let's see what EZdrummer has called up for me after specifying that kind of kick, kick, snare kind of beat. Okay, that's not gonna work. I don't want rim shots. Let's check out this one. That sounds very similar to what I had in my head when I opened up the plugin here. So I'm gonna just drag that MIDI right on over into the slower section of this pair of riffs, and let's hear how that's working. All right, so now we have two riffs, a slower, heavier, sludgy kind of riff, and then the cleanish guitar kind of riff with a drum beat that's focused on the toms, which is what popped in my head while I was sitting here working on these riffs. Now let's hear these two parts back to back. Okay, I dig it. And just to show you another element of my workflow here, sometimes if I have a part that, might not fit the guitar sound that I'm currently using, the amp sim I'm using on this particular track is a TSC Audio X50, which is like a 5150, but I want a little bit of delay. So instead of me having to go in there and add delay, I can just drag this audio file over to the solo track, which is pulled from my songwriting template, and we should have some quick delay on this cleanish style riff. Let's check it out. And there you have it, the beginnings of what might turn into a song one day. So I'm curious to know, do you collaborate with other musicians that maybe you don't live near? Maybe musicians you've never met in the real world? Maybe you've never played with them, yet you are still in a band or a project and writing songs together? Leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your opinion. And also, are you a fan of EZdrummer? Do you use it for songwriting? Do you use it in a similar way to the way that I use it? Again, let me know. I'd love to hear your opinion. Now tomorrow over on Cameron's channel, he's gonna be showing his process for how he went about taking my basic and straightforward EZdrummer pre-production tracks and turned them into pro sounding, killer live drum tracks. So again, if you're interested in checking out his process for writing awesome killer live drum parts, check out that video tomorrow on his channel. There will be a link below in this video's description once it goes live. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And do not forget to click the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload one of my weekly videos on all things metal and rock production. If you're interested in some PreProduction swag, I've got t-shirts, mugs, and a ton of other cool stuff on the way. There's a link below to the PreProduction merch store in this video's description. Now I want to let you know something. The final mix of the song that Cameron and I have collaborated on was done completely within Reaper using mainly stock plugins. And I have a gift for you. You could download the exact same Reaper session of the final mix of this track. All the multi-tracks, every plugin setting, it's all there in the zip file. You could use this session as a template for your own mixes, or you could use it just to dive in and look at my mix in depth on your computer within Reaper. There's a link below to the Reaper session. Again, you could download it for absolutely free. It's all yours. Now be sure to catch part 3 of this video series on Wednesday, where Cameron will be on my channel sharing his process for recording these drum tracks live in his home studio. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Until next time, happy recording.